This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
His beliefs of I did nothing wrong, his beliefs of anti-Semitism, his beliefs that the world is flat, his beliefs that the COVID vaccine will transform you into some mutant zombie.
Nick Morgeson.
The Nets should just suspend him for the year and say we're done. That's what I would do at this point. He doesn't want to play basketball. He wants to stand on his beliefs, and that's it.
And Nick Federa.
When that echo hits you, it's like doing the first line of cocaine. It's like, people agree with me. Oh my God, this is fucking amazing.
Empty the Bench starts now.
And welcome to the Kanye and Kyrie show.
Oh
Jesus.
Oh my God!
Hi everyone, I'm Kyrie. I don't know which of you two is Kanye.
I guess I'm it, so...
Okay.
Stable genius.
Oh, really? You think you want to call yourself Kanye? Okay, here you go.
Welcome to what episode are we? 162 of Empty the Bench on the... Of course, I knew you were going to do that! Welcome to episode 162 of Empty the Bench on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. Follow the show across social media at ETB Sports, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you I can't speak. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Before I got totally distracted by that open. I'm
changing our names back. Don't worry.
Oh, God. The day that I'd have to stay LeBron for a whole episode would be a day of torture.
Ah, that's an interesting idea now.
You wouldn't mind his money, though.
What do you mean I wouldn't? Well, if anyone would mind his money. That's obvious. But we have a lot to get into on this episode 162. Unfortunately, I know the shooting has taken place on another college campus. And yes, it includes another college athlete. We'll get into all that. Also, more of the MLB awards have come down. And yes, we don't have to take our vengeance out on Los Angeles. We'll get into that reason and why. Also, some more MLB offseason hot stove and Kyrie Irving part infinity. Also, we'll recap week 11. And guess what, gentlemen? No rapid rundown during the episode this week.
Oh my God, it's a disaster. Or is it?
So yes, we will be doing picks with Game On. It was on this same very network. Actually, it'll come out later today after this show. So make sure you tune into that. Yeah, there we go. As the banner usually knows more than we do. 8 p.m. Eastern time, about 5 hours after this show airs. And make sure you tune in. Johnny and Hank will be there. The three of us will be there. And I'm sure Nick will say something stupid like he normally does.
Of course.
That's
what they don't pay me for.
It is what it is. But we have a lot to get into, so let's go. So, yes, another shooting has taken place on a college campus. I don't know. Nick and I saw this. We had the one last week. Where was the one that happened last week? UVA, University of Virginia. And now we're hearing that whole mess has finally come to an end. And now we have this situation, except it's not football, it's college basketball.
Now, this is something that we really didn't hear a lot of media coverage about. So, were they saying that this came from a personal scuffle between one player and another, or?
So, according to the headlines, they're saying one dead college basketball player wounded in New Mexico campus shooting. Supposedly there was supposed to be a rival game between New Mexico and New Mexico State,
which has since been canceled.
The basketball player is in the hospital after getting shot and fatally shooting one of his assailants in an incident that unfolded early Saturday at the University of New Mexico. State police said they arrived at the Albuquerque campus early Saturday morning after students there conspired to lure him into an assault.
So it sounds like this was something personal.
It sounds like this was something personal. And am I correct in
It
assuming that he
sounds like
shot?
it.
Yeah, that he shot and killed one of the people that was trying to kill him.
It's worded like that. If the way Nick Morgeson worded it.
So it says police identified Brandon Travis, 19 years old, as the University of New Mexico student who died after being shot by a 21-year-old Mike Peake. One of the other students involved, 19-year-old Jonathan Smith, has been charged with aggravated battery, conspiracy, and 2 counts of tampering with evidence. New Mexico State Police stated that an unidentified 17-year-old girl, also said to be among the group of University of New Mexico students, was charged with aggravated battery, conspiracy, and booked into a juvenile detention center.
So, according to ESPN, the New Mexico State player was lured to campus. So apparently, this was something that
was previously off campus.
I mean, there was a story, and I know this is not sports related. Did you get, or was it the UVA story where they were off campus? There was an off campus house that was all over the national news, where some stabbings took place, and it was at an off campus house near the college. I don't remember which college it was, but that was a whole different. I don't know what's going on at college campuses.
Oh, you're
right
talking
now.
about the university. You're talking about the University of Idaho.
Yes, thank you. The
It wasn't sports related. I don't think so.
But it was a big story, college related. The 4 people went to bed.
I would say that there's a little issue right now with college students. I would not blame college students right now if they were very concerned for their safety, considering the number of headlines that I've been going around about college students and
about in Idaho and in
Idaho, Virginia, New Mexico here.
Well, I'm going to ask the same question you asked last week, Tom. Why isn't the security reacting quicker than it is?
Well, these incidents, I think I need more information on, but the difference was that the University of Virginia one, they knew for a while that
this
he
was
supposedly
going,
had a gun, that he had a gun on him.
Well, that one is just stupidity. If they knew that it was on record that the UVA shooter,
it's not just stupidity; it's criminal negligence. If
on the college,
that they knew.
Well, not just the college, the police.
Well, supposedly the college was a no, because if I remember correctly from what you were talking about last week, we were talking about when we talked about that story that he was charged with a felony during his time as a student, and nothing was done about it.
Right, but he apparently was on the police's radar already before this happened. So if that's the case, that's negligence on the police also.
No, I'm confused. Bring it back.
So during the UVA situation, they said that the police already had his name on a list being targeted before this even happened.
Because he was already charged with a felony.
Right. So if that's the case, that's a problem.
I understand your point, but then why was he on the campus? If you are a college, you should know when one of your students is being charged with something. You should know there should be some sort of you should know that he has a gun on him. You should know at that point, you should be making a decision that maybe he does not belong on the campus or in the university, period.
Now, the only reason the police ever even made it to the campus on the UVA situation is because one of the guys tipped off that he might have had a gun. That's the only reason they came to campus. Now, I don't know about this one. You're saying, Nick,
it's more of a personal issue.
That they lured somebody to campus.
This seemed to stem out of because I'm looking at the ESPN story right now, and the pre-dawn shooting. Mike Peake, the starting power forward for the Aggies, was shot by Brandon Travis, 19-year-old New Mexico student. Peake then used a gun he possessed to shoot Travis. The 3 other assailants were a 17-year-old female and 2 of Travis's friends. All fled after the shooting. Mind you, I'm quoting Myron Metcalf from ESPN. So.
Well, basically, it sounds like a gang up after a shooting happened.
I mean, it sounds like it sounds like an assault, and it sounds like it sounds like something that went very, very, very wrong, very, very, very quickly.
I mean, so in a Q&A release Monday by the New Mexico State University, the university said its athletes are not allowed to bring guns on team trips, that going forward, their bags would be checked before they boarded team buses.
Wait a minute. You're saying you didn't check bags?
Well, if it's your own athletes, you shouldn't have to. You would think that they're going to...
Okay, I guess I understand from that perspective.
But it does sound... But what I will give you, though, is it sounds kind of weird that they're first saying it after the whole incident happened. Right. I mean, what's next? I mean, and I'll tell you a quick story. When I went to Nassau Community College and we went to campus, we spoke to students, younger students in high schools. This was a harrowing experience for me. I walked into a high school that had airport metal detectors in it. I'm not even kidding you. I walked in and they had like full style security, like if you walk through an airport. And like I was scared. Like, and I said, "Well, is this the school we're going to?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so we literally had to be like metal checked, and we had to take everything out of our pockets. This was a high school. Okay.
I mean, it's weird because it's weird because I get it for safety. No, what we're going off about with the metal detectors, like I get it for safety, but it's also like, man, high school is a place that you should be made to feel like welcome.
Right, and like I said, I was a little afraid. Like I literally said to the security person, like I said, "What goes on here?" And he's like, "Yeah, we've had some prior incidents here before." Oh, and I was like, "Oh, I don't think I want to be here anymore."
Yeah. Jeez, to be told that's not exactly something you want to...
It's not exactly something that fills you with a lot of confidence.
But my point is, like, you're going to see all these schools now when students they're going to get background checked now. More thoroughly.
You would think.
You know what the problem is? And this goes back to what I said last week with UVA. These are athletes. College athletes. Okay?
Well, in the case of the UVA one, the guy was gone for 3 years. The guy hadn't been an athlete for 3 years.
But I'm saying is athletes get a better end of the deal than a normal student would get. Unfortunately. Nick.
Yes, but again, the guy in the last week's situation had not been on the team for 3 years.
Not been on the team for a while. That's why I say
you would think maybe he would lose that status.
Once an athlete, always an athlete.
Evidently, that's what makes it tragic.
I mean, this whole thing is bizarre. And like I see some of the families coming out and even the Idaho one, which was not a sports one. That one's even scarier because apparently they went to sleep in an off-campus house and they all woke up murdered the next day.
Well, they didn't wake up.
Well,
they didn't.
Sorry,
wake up murdered.
That's not what I meant. When whoever came, there was 2 other people that woke up and they found the other 4 murdered. So, like, what? I don't know. Do we have to make even more security at college campuses? Is that what we've gotten to?
I mean, I'd hate to think that was the case, but it really does seem like that's the only solution anybody can ever come up with. And
I'm sorry that we're starting grim, but unfortunately, that's at the top of the news chain. Unfortunately, like it's hard to take like Kyrie Irving seriously when you have college campus shootings going on, with athletes.
Well, thankfully, Kyrie's not at the top. Thankfully, Kyrie's towards the bottom this week.
Yeah,
Thank
but
God.
you know what would really help this that I haven't seen anybody suggest?
What?
Or I haven't seen anybody in charge suggest?
What?
Restricting access to guns.
Nick, you think that you're acting logical.
Again, and there is no logic to be found
Now,
here.
let me just preface it with this. No politics here. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or independent. We have a guns issue in this country, unfortunately. And that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready to move on to lighter things. Let's talk about some MLB awards. So we only covered 2 last week because by the time our episode came out, there was only 2 that came out, the Rookie of the Year, the Manager of the Year. We do have a Cy Young and an MVP now. So Cy Young, unanimous Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins in the National League, and Justin Verlander of the American League.
Unanimous. Both unanimous. I think it was the first time since like the 60s or the 70s. I don't remember, but
I think that was the first time since Sandy, not Sandy, uh,
Well,
not
both
Sandy
leagues.
It's it's only the second time ever that both leagues Cy Young Award winners were unanimous. 1956 from the American League, it was Detroit's Denny McLain and St. Louis's Bob Gibson.
Yeah, see, so it's a rare thing. It's hard to get all the votes on both
Oh,
sides.
68, 1968. Pardon me. 56 was when it was first awarded.
Right, that's why I said I thought it was either the 60s or the 70s. I couldn't remember
Yeah,
which.
68, 68.
But Verlander pitched his ass off. I don't care if I'm a Yankee fan or not. He had, coming off the Tommy John surgery, he had probably the most incredible year I've seen out of a pitcher in a long time.
I mean, yeah, and I know you accuse me of being biased against the Astros because I am, but to be honest with you, I mean the record don't lie. I mean,
What do you have, 22 wins, if I'm not mistaken?
Justin Verlander this year? Let's see.
Yeah, I thought he had...
He had... Well, actually, funny you say that. So just a few hours ago, Justin Verlander, as I was looking it up, has added more hardware to his trophy cabinet. So Justin Verlander has also been named the 2022 Comeback Player of the Year for the American League. Which...
So again, but these are awards that are well deserved. But I do wonder because he is technically a free agent, right?
Yes, and 18 wins, by the way, 18 wins.
18 wins. So, but the bugaboo for him was not the regular season; it was a postseason. But the regular season, I think, was really more of a, yeah, we know you can shove in the regular season, but can you prove that you can still do it after Tommy John? So he proved he took everybody talking shit about him. He heard him and he stuffed the words right back down the throat.
And now he's going to be the top pitching free agent in this class.
And by the way, you got to give him credit. He won a World Series game finally.
Yes. And by the way, for the record, the National League Comeback Player of the Year, Albert Pujols, which it's a comeback and retirement. He had one last good run, I guess.
That's questionable a little bit.
But well deserved, though. Absolutely well deserved.
For at least the home runs that he hit. The home run he hit.
For at least the home runs that he hit.
The only reason he got is because he hit 700.
Yeah, well, he got 7, but that's the thing. He made the chase worth it.
And by the way, Sandy Alcantara, we don't give him enough credit. Marlins pitcher winning the Cy Young Award on a
don't give him enough credit because that's precisely who he pitches for.
Talk about a shitty franchise that has been going through things over the years. I mean, and he's going to end up getting traded because that's how the Marlins are anyway.
Well, he's going to end up getting traded, and then Chisholm is going to end up getting traded. A whole bunch of their names now are going to end up getting traded. But that's the Marlins. That's c'est la vie.
That's the Marlins' history.
By the way, is this going to be Stanton and Yelich all over you?
I don't know if Chisholm and Sandy Alcantara are quite to the level.
They're still young. We don't know if they'll develop into those guys.
No. I mean, it's their top guys. They're just going to keep trading them over and over and over again.
You know what? Prove me wrong. Wrong. I will assume that they're going to get traded until I see evidence pointing to the contrary.
Well, speaking of proving people wrong, the next award, MVP.
Guess what?
Should we start with Goldie or should we start with Judge?
Start with Goldie.
Yeah, start with Goldie. Yeah.
I think Goldie, this was a well-deserved, because for the last couple of seasons...
He's been down big time.
Yeah, it's been down. Actually, 2018, 2019, but since the short COVID season, he has revitalized himself. Ended this season, 317 batting average, 115 RBIs, 35 home runs.
He looked like a whole different player.
He did. He looked like a revitalized player. It looked like he found the groove that helped him become, one of the top guys in the National League. Back when he was with the Diamondbacks.
To do it at age 36 is no mean feat.
Yeah.
I mean, he just looked like a whole different player. He looked like he was there to play. St. Louis just got ran over by a Philadelphia team.
It baffles me, like Dick Federa, when you said it out loud. He's 36 years old.
It's probably one of the older MVPs in a long time, too.
He is, believe it or not.
And then the American League, well, we get to breathe a sigh of relief. Aaron Judge, yes, he got what he deserved. He is the American League MVP for 2022.
I have a lot to say here. One, because I already took a shot at the LA Times on Twitter.
You know what? The floor is yours.
I
don't want a solo floor. This I just want to say here. Which one I'm going to say to the LA Times first.
Congratulations, dickweeds.
Because your stupid, shitty paper, or if I should say LA Times or loose assholes, decided to report that Shohei Ohtani is the MVP. He is the greatest player. He should have won unanimously. You assholes.
But did they actually say that? Or is that...
They did. They did. They've been saying it all over the last couple of months.
Now, when you say they, who do you mean?
Whoever was covering baseball for the LA Times. There was a bunch of writers that were doing it.
See, I mean, that's not really surprising because he won the vote, I think, 28-2. And
he did, 28-2.
Yeah, 28 first place votes.
Yeah, and 2 of them were Los Angeles. Duh.
But that doesn't surprise me in the slightest because you know what? They're close to Shohei Ohtani, and I mean, literally physically close to him. So, and Judge is on another coast. I mean, it means more to you when a lot of the
okay, but let me ask you something. Shohei Ohtani and Tom, I think you brought this up at some point when we were talking.
Are you talking about the fact that Shohei Ohtani, if he was really the best of the best, he should have won the Cy Young then?
What was he, 4th or 5th in the Cy Young voting?
Yes, which is great, but
that doesn't mean you're the most valuable player.
Let me see. I gotta look up the award. Did he get most outstanding player? Because this I don't have a problem with.
Is there a most outstanding player?
No, that's made up.
Oh, okay.
That was a made up phrase actually that Johnny Montalbano was going on. Yeah. But I agree with.
I could have sworn there was some sort of like a players award, players vote on. But
the problem is,
he's the most. Ohtani is the most outstanding player, but Judge just had a season of historic proportions.
The thing is, he is. And don't take this the wrong way, but he's a Frankenstein He's a Frankenstein player because he's a good pitcher and a good hitter. The thing is, they both share the same body. So...
Yeah, but wait a minute. No one is questioning that he is one of the greatest players in MLB, but he's not the most valuable player. Aaron Judge.
Not this year.
Any others? If Aaron Judge had the year like last year or 2 years ago, then yeah, Ohtani is a two-time MVP. And
yes,
consecutive MVP.
But I'm just tired of the LA Times running on this narrative that he's the MVP.
But Nick, I also think that as a result of what he has been doing, he has now taken Mike Trout's spot, not only as the face of the Angels, he is now taken
fine.
Not only that, but he is going to be what Mike Trout was, and that the default. If there's nobody who has a great year, he is going to be the default MVP.
That's fine. Mike Trout has become a shell of himself since the injuries have happened. So, in my opinion,
I mean, but to be, but
what do you mean it's not his fault? He got hurt.
He got hurt, so it's not a downturn caused by anything else other than injuries.
It's not like he was stupid. In other words,
it's not like he was
stupid.
Well, I think part of it is he plays so hard because he has to carry the team that eventually was going to come back to bite him.
Well, that's another issue.
You could make that
that's
argument.
Another issue.
But
I don't know why. Honest to God, I'm surprised that there weren't more LA based or West Coast based writers that vote. That there were only 2.
The San Francisco and the Seattle writer both voted for Judge.
Well, the San Francisco writer, I could
is sucking up.
No. But my point is
just clearing the runway for him.
Wait. Well, we'll get to that and the gaffe that I made in the stream the other night. But the Oakland, the Seattle, and the San Francisco writer all voted for Judge. Okay, so what does that tell you?
That it wasn't always. It wasn't a West.
That it was
Coast.
Judge's year.
Yeah, it was Judge's year. That was going. It was there was an air of we couldn't see, the three of us could not see this at the time, but it seemed upon hindsight there was an inevitability to this. The minute that 60-second ball left the park in Globe Life.
Well, that's what right. You just took, and actually, I agree with you. You took the point that I was about to say. As soon as he broke the record, it was his MVP award. I don't care.
There was an air of inevitability to it, even though the three of us didn't see it.
Well,
Because
no, we thought it was. We thought it was, but we were scared that the baseball writers were going to screw it up.
Again, because
wait a minute. I was going to say, and what Nick is referring to is the Yankee bias that comes out in the award voting.
You mean the Yankee bias or the anti-Yankee bias?
Anti-Yankee bias.
You know what I mean, the bias against the Yankees.
I don't even know if it was all that, because honest to God, I think it was people were debating that so heavily on Twitter, and you saw a lot of sports writers, the ones that didn't even have votes, chime in on it. So I think it kind of colored our perception of, people were really debating this fiercely about Judge or Ohtani.
I mean, go ask
come out in the voting, and it didn't end up coming out in the voting.
Go ask Justin Verlander's brother what he thought about the Cy Young Award.
He did. Well, that's why they didn't give him a vote.
Because it's bias. That's my whole point.
I would not expect him to do anything other than vote for his brother.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem.
In my opinion,
if my brother was a big leaguer and I did not vote for him, he would kick my fucking ass.
Hold on. Here's a rule change that I would oppose. Okay.
If you have blood in the league, you can't.
No, well, I wasn't going to go there, but at least not yet. The rule change I would make is you can't vote for somebody in your own location for the award. You have to vote for somebody else.
Nah, that's not going to
work. A lot of people, because a lot of writers are based on both coasts.
Also because one, they're all based on both coasts. Two, then Judge wouldn't have had the amount of votes that he would have had.
Because where are they? Because
then you would have had a close like 65-35%.
I think you only had two.
The concentration of sports writers per capita is in New York and Los Angeles.
That's not true. For the MVP, every location has at least one vote.
Yeah, there's a small town in America called Sports Writersville.
I just, you know what my whole point is going to be? I want an open invite to any stupid LA Times baseball writer out there who decided to be biased in one of the biggest newspapers out there.
But again, I don't know why you were expecting different.
No, I'm saying you guys preach journalism all the time, right?
My journalism teacher always taught me that objectivity can often be bullshit, because every experience is filtered through the journalist's eyes.
Also, this is the award voting is also subjective. And what do we say about opinions? They're like assholes. Everyone has one.
Everyone has one. And objective writing often does not make for good writing. So if you don't feel passionate about something, you're not going to put your heart and soul into writing.
So wait, are you saying that, like, say you worked for any X company doing media, writing or anything, you're telling me you're not going to have an opinion if they did something shitty just because you want to keep a job?
I absolutely would have an opinion. The problem is that, again, this is just because I was taught that way doesn't mean there are dozens, hundreds, thousands of journalism students and professors that don't feel that feel the same way that I do. This is an ongoing debate.
I just think it's a problem. The two, obviously, the voting showed you had the two LA guys being biased, voting for Ohtani when Ohtani was not even close to Judge in the award.
They taught me that at undergrad. What did your J school professors tell you, Tom?
What?
At Ryder?
No. What's the question?
About what, Nick?
About objectivity. Is it bullshit or is it bullshit or important? Because these are two different extremes.
I actually got told it was important, but the industry has also changed over time. As I have, I started out learning that it was important, but it also has changed over time. I mean, guys, let's just remember 2016. I think it was NLCS. The Cubs had just clinched the NLCS, and what do? They bring Michael Wilbon on in a Cubs jacket or something. That
was bad too, in my opinion. I know why they did it, but it's a bad look. I love how they tell it. It's Stephen A. Everything goes back to Stephen A. Smith at this point. But you see him talking about the Cowboys, or he talks about, I'm a huge Knicks fan. That's
Right,
bad.
well,
Different here, though.
But you know what?
It's
But it's in the personalities. We've talked about that with ESPN. It is in the personalities these days. It's not in the journalists.
See, but it's not exactly that, because sports writers they're asked to make.
They're not sports
And
writers
they're
anymore, technically.
They're not.
They're
Yes,
asked
you're right.
to make, but not even Stephen A. The people voting in the MVP,
No,
they're asked to make a subjective judgment on what are essentially objective numbers. So, because picking an MVP is, by its very definition, a subjective opinion, because what's valuable to one sports writer might not be as valuable to another.
Thank you.
all right, but the Aaron Judge numbers were so obvious. There
Yes,
shouldn't.
but it is so glaringly obvious this year because that you had to pick Aaron Judge. You had to. If any other year, this would be a toss-up.
And first of all,
if Aaron Judge hit 40 home runs,
I still think Aaron Judge
Well,
would have been the
Aaron Judge-
MVP.
or if Aaron Judge was never born, if he never existed in the first place.
Well, then Ohtani would be MVP every year. But
Yeah.
and by the way, Rob Manfred wouldn't know how to market it anyway. But my point is, the whole bubble in LA has a problem and won't admit the fact that Aaron Judge was the better player this year.
There are bubbles everywhere. Nick.
Nick,
There are
there's
bubbles in New
everywhere.
York. There are bubbles in Texas. There's bubbles in your bathtub.
Hey, ask Roger Goodell; he knows that best. But I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I would so love to crap all over an LA Times writer on this show so bad. Just because some of the articles I read, well, they wouldn't say Aaron Judge. They said Shohei Ohtani did this, and this well. That's their way of writing around it. That's the frustrating part to me. That's all I'm saying. Like, admit the fact that he won.
Well, you know what? It's a good thing that this works a majority rule and not the electoral.
Yeah,
college.
I was gonna say. Well, he did win, so you don't have to make
He
them
did
admit.
win. So
he did
you know what?
win.
It doesn't matter. It just comes off like sour grapes. It was like, oh, I had 28 first place votes when I could have had 30.
Go ask Carrie Lake in Arizona how she's feeling right now.
Ow!
I won't concede the election. I won't concede the election. All right. Anyway.
Hashtag stop the count.
All right. Where are we going?
All right. Well, let's keep with the Aaron Judge topic for now, because there has been a report as of late. No, not the one you screwed up on last night.
By the way, I'm going to do this to myself.
Congratulations, dickweeds.
But to my defense, wait a minute. To my defense, when someone writes breaking news on a social media post, and it's not breaking news.
For those of you who did not tune into our Cardinals 49ers stream last night, one, where were you? Two, Nick Orgeson made a very big gaffe early on and well, I shouldn't say report. He said that John Morosi had put out a breaking news tweet that was basically saying that Aaron Judge was signing with the Giants.
Now, let me clarify. I just want to clarify one thing. It wasn't a fake account either. It was really him.
No, it was the real McCoy. But if you want to see the color drain from mine and Tom's faces in real time, watch that video again, because it is like we are being told that an asteroid is going to hit the Earth in 5 minutes. I did not think that it would affect me if I'd heard that news, but I felt like I got speared through the chest. And ladies and gentlemen, when the denouement finally came and we found out that no, he was there to meet with the Giants,
which he did yesterday.
Nick, I'll play devil's advocate on one thing. Not my situation, just him being in San Francisco. Why do you think he's in San Francisco?
To meet with the Giants.
Okay, but obviously the Yankees didn't make a good enough offer.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily, Nick. I mean, yes, but no. But you know what? Now that he's a free agent,
he's testing.
Right, that's the thing. So maybe the Yankees did offer him, say, I'm just going to make up a number. I'm just going to make up numbers. 8 or 9 years, $350 million. But now that you have the opportunity, no strings attached to you, no arbitration attached to you. Why not go test the waters? Why not?
he is going to vacuum up every penny he thinks he can get.
Even Brian Cashman has admitted he bet on himself and won.
And he won.
I'm going to tell you right now, if the number gets over 4,
Hal Steinbrenner to say we will not be outbid for him, which I don't know if I believe.
but yeah,
Get him to say that is a Herculean feat in and of itself.
yeah, Hal's got a lot of issues on his hand because he put that statement out there, and now if he gets away, you're going to have Yankee fans like with pitchforks approaching his house. But I'm going to tell you right now,
the pitchforks. I'm going to raid a farming supply store and steal all the pitchforks and be passing them out on a subway train on the way to the Bronx. We're not going to be lighting torches because I don't have that much butane. But you know what? The pitchforks will communicate the message.
I'm just going to say you're welcome right now. Anyway, what was I going to say? So I was going to say, Nick, if the Giants go over 400 million, he's gone.
Oh, absolutely.
Assuming, of course, that they do that.
Nick, the Giants are desperate in the worst way.
Now, that being said, if Judge does do that, which I understand about what you were talking about, like why would he test the market? If he does do that, I do see him going the ways of Mike Trout, where he'll be playing on a team they're not ever going to get to the playoffs again. He'll be a one-man show.
They're not ready.
But I think the Giants are in a better situation than the Angels are right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Far away.
The Dodgers are in a better situation.
Guys, think about it. We're at the point where we're talking about with the Angels the possibility of trading Trout or Ohtani, or if not, simply the fact that 1 year from now, Ohtani will probably be gone from that team.
Yeah, you want to talk about spearing through the chest? Having Ohtani or Trout leave and the Angels having nothing to show for it.
I'm going to tell you,
is going to be the spear to the chest that Angels fans are going to have to deal with, and you feel bad for him.
First of all, Trout is going nowhere. No one is taking that contract, so you can forget that.
Or by having Ohtani go, I mean, at least even though he hasn't been able to get a ring in New York, he's done a lot in the 5 years he's been here.
No, I'm not questioning that, but you said that Trout would be traded. How many years does he have left?
10.
He's not going anywhere. Sorry, not going anywhere. No one's taking that risk.
But then if you're the Angels, you might have to consider saying F it. And in this last year where Ohtani's value is hot, you got to trade him.
Well, they signed him to a 1 year, $30 million deal, essentially?
Can I be, I'll be honest. If I'm the Yankees and I lose Judge and I can work out some trade, I take that. I would take that contract and I would add on to it. A year, paid $30 million annually for a guy like Ohtani, a Frankenstein kind of player who is good and can be top 5 in pitching. And I'll do it.
It's a tough one. I like him.
He's the only person I could think of that could actually match the star power that Judge has in New York, and it is star power.
I get it, but I don't know. I think
you're just talking.
Clear. I don't want him to leave. I want him to stay with every fiber of my being.
Neither do I. All I'm saying is, you're saying, the Angels aren't going to trade him, and the Angels have come out and said that they're not going to trade him. I think it's stupid. Number one, it's stupid for them to not do so when his value is so high right now.
It's higher than high,
and it's pretty clear the Angels are going nowhere, and a bunch of teams will be willing to offer up young prospects.
Prospects. Heck, how about current ready players that are young?
And number two, even though it's a 1 year, $30 million deal, I think teams will be willing to take on the $30 million for this year and then some.
I mean, he's a younger guy. He hasn't hit his value yet. It'll be interesting to see if he could keep this up, being a hitter and a pitcher. Because at one point they say
we did have scares. We did have scares.
You got to pick a side eventually. That's what's going to happen.
Was there a headline attached to that, or were we just spitballing?
No, we were spitballing.
Oh, yeah.
No,
because speaking of Judge, I thought you were going to go into another headline.
I was going to, but then I said, there was that other story that Nick Morgan screwed up on.
Other thing.
Yeah, but let's circle back. So John Morosi, who decided to write breaking news on a tweet, all because he was meeting with the Giants in San Francisco. That's breaking news?
normally, and I said to this to you before we started. Normally, you can't blame the journalist for the headline, but considering
this was his own Twitter,
I think he might have got a little Twitter brain right there.
I mean, what's next? Is Anderson Cooper going to break news that Trump farted, and then we're going to see that?
It would actually be pretty funny to actually have him try to break into a news story saying Trump passed gas and somehow killed Elon Musk.
Did you just suggest the title for this episode?
Oh,
which has
wow.
nothing to do with which would have nothing to do with sports. No, you just gave the next Beyond the Benches episode title away.
Yeah, actually, you kind of did, Nick. Way to go.
Damn it.
All right, let's talk about the other news story that involves Judge, and it involves the Yankees, and it involves the crosstown rival Mets and Uncle Steve. Apparently, the Yankees and Mets are both under investigation by the MLBPA. Why? In negotiations revolving around Aaron Judge. So, we've heard the stories with the Yankees that they've made the offer. House saying we will not be outbid. That Judge is supposedly on the clock, that he has to sign by the end of the month, or else
mistake.
But here's where the story lies. We'll go back to that clock thing if we have the time. But apparently, supposedly the story goes the Mets and Steve Cohen told the Yankees, we will not put in a bid for Judge. And that's why the MLBPA is up in arms.
I mean, first of all, one, I don't believe this. You're telling me that dogs and cats are working together?
Wait, but you're telling me Uncle Steve, with all of his money and wanting to be the new age version of the classic buy everybody George Steinbrenner Yankee, you're telling me he wouldn't put an offer in for Judge?
You're telling me the man who shits out dollar bills would not try to at least try to drive the market for Aaron Judge?
But by the way, richest owner in all of Major League Baseball now.
Right,
precisely.
That was the point.
I mean, by far,
he's
not
shitting out $20 bills because of a weird medical condition. Because he's filthy, stinking, fucking rich.
I mean, what is he worth? Like $17 billion? Like,
yes.
The only
what I have referred to multiple times as "fuck you" money.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't believe this for a second. If Steve Cohen wanted to make a point, he would throw $500,000 at Aaron Judge and say, "Come play in a Mets uniform."
Then again, the textbook definition of what involves collusion is so broad. I mean, it could be like unless you're writing an email saying, "Hello, Hal, this is Steve. Would you like to collude today?" I'm in the mood for some collusion today, Hal. Would you feel like joining and colluding with me?
I mean, that would be sounding the alarm bell. That would be like throwing the alarm bells right out in front of you if you did something like that.
To be that obvious, though, is my point.
Yeah, no, it's not that. I don't buy this story.
I don't buy for a second because think about it, and this goes back to other stories. Think about other issues we've had with teams where they say, well, we're not going to go after your player. The Yankees and Red Sox have actually had players play on both teams.
Mm-hmm. Yankees and Mets have had players play on both teams.
I can think of quite a few. El Duque comes to mind as one of them. I mean, there's so many. David Cohn,
yeah.
Darryl Strawberry.
Adam Ottavino,
Dellin Betances,
Tyler Clippard,
Nate Eovaldi.
Oh, there's so many, but this is bogus.
Yeah, bogus story. And yeah, I do agree. As we're ending our conversation on Judge, I understand the Yankees' perspective of, hey, we want to get a deal done because we have other things we want to do. We could be moving Glaber. Supposedly that rumor is really heating up that by the opening day, Gleyber Torres will probably be traded, maybe possibly to the Mariners for a relief arm, which the Yankees need. They definitely need the long or middle reliever. We have these talks about, maybe they go after Trey or Xander, which I think is a little ridiculous, but I understand that they're talents, but then you got to deal with whatever the heck's going on in the infield.
The infield is a shit show. They have
I know they're trying to move Donaldson and Hicks.
They're not going to. First of all, Donaldson is dead money essentially at this point.
He's a rock at third base,
but a dead bat.
He's a rock at third base, and no, I don't mean in the good way. I mean he is a literal rock at third base.
I mean,
he's a literal stone.
I mean, Nick, who cares about defense? It's they need him to hit the ball.
And Hicks, well, I mean, I knew from the beginning once he got that 7, 8, whatever year was, I said this was a mistake.
And he got hurt again.
Yeah,
and that's a team-friendly deal, believe it or not.
I know it is, and I
at
even
the time
he's
only making like 10 million a year.
It was 7 years, $70 million. Yeah, you're never going to see a deal like that ever again.
No, you don't, because you don't see even outfielders take that little money.
No,
that length of a contract.
The Players Association would like go nuts if they found out a player was only making $10 million.
Come to think of it, it's really un-Yankee like for them to make that deal in the first place, because they usually it's like we don't deal with extending people until after the season, and then we usually don't extend people mid-contract.
Well, also you need to
do it with Derek. And they wouldn't do it with anybody else.
Yeah, but Nick, you need to remember now that current, and when I say current, Yankee ownership has all of a sudden fallen into the trap that they think they're cheap.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's current. I mean that deal was signed
No, I'm talking about the difference between now and then. That now they're acting like they're cheap and they have no money to spend. Which is why the whole Aaron Judge debacle is coming up, because if people are going to say, if he ends up in a Giants uniform, they'll say, well, it's the big bad Yankees. Oh, wait, it's not the big bad Yankees anymore. They don't spend money.
I'm just saying, don't make me get my pitchforks out.
You would do it anyway.
Speaking of the mighty fall, Cody Bellinger. So we had a bunch of non-tenders last week, and of those, probably one of the most noticeable is Bellinger. So, I mean, guys, he burst on the scene in 2017. Was a Rookie of the Year. Actually finished 9th in the NL MVP voting in that year. Ended up winning that award in 2019. And since then, batted .239 in the pandemic short season. Batted a mere 165 in 95 games played in 2021. And then he played nearly all of this season in 2022. Batted .210. 210. 19 home runs, 68 RBIs, but 150 strikeouts.
I mean, this is a classic case of he had his good few years and then just fell off.
I don't think it's that. To be honest with you, I don't think it's that.
I think something's broken within him. I think he could rebound, but I think he needs to find the fit.
I'm going to tell you right now with the Dodgers,
the swing lab that Matt Carpenter went to.
Matt Holliday.
And Holliday went to, where he became a
he went to Matt Holliday.
Home run hitting machine.
Carpenter went to Holliday.
He went to Matt Holliday. Yeah. So
maybe something like that could work for Cody. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the hell went on with him.
No, you want to know what the problem is? He's a pull hitter. That's the problem. Like a lot of today's hitters are pull hitter. All they do is think about pulling home runs. And by the way,
it really does seem like things are shifting back to contact hitters.
No, they're not. Are you kidding me? Everything is about power now.
Because league average, Aaron Judge aside, league average was something like
Nick
47.
The strikeouts are up, and the power numbers are up.
I think we will see this little argument this year when the shift gets banned.
Well, when the shift is officially next season, when we look back at this,
you're
going to see averages. Averages are going to be up automatically.
Well, let's have a look. Let's wait for next season to play out and let's see how it goes. As far as Bellinger goes, he definitely needs someone. Even Hank said it. Hank from Game On said in a pre-show meeting, there's something wrong with his swing, and Hank kind of had a feeling around the time 2019, 2020 that his swing wasn't going to last, and he needs to. I'd say it's not even a matter of fix. He needs to reinvent himself.
All right, but he was an MVP. He was a Rookie of the Year. He was one of their big guys. And unfortunately, what happens is you go through a decline.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that as much as I'm trying to defend Bellinger, the Dodgers made the right move. He was going to make $18 million next season.
And by the way, on top of that, the Dodgers are the most expensive payroll in all of baseball right now.
And now they might be in the conversation for Judge because of this move.
By the way, if they've got Judge, I would just wave the flag on the season at that point.
The season would have already have started, and they would already be the World Series champions at that point.
That's what I would do, because it'd be unfair. Think about that. Mookie Betts, Aaron Judge, and who would be the third in the outfield?
Now, the only things I have in here is if they are in the Judge sweepstakes and they land him, Mookie moves to second base, and I think that's a mistake. Going up in the system, he struggled at second. Yeah, I know he was a natural second baseman to start, but he struggled to play the position. He was much better at the outfield. I think that's a mistake.
But is that the whole natural sacrifice to bring in another all-star type of thing? Is that what that is?
Maybe.
Not that I agree with it by any means, but when you could say you have Mookie Betts and Aaron Judge back-to-back in a lineup, that's just like, that's almost unfair.
Right.
Man.
All right. Let's talk about some World Cup, guys. Yeah.
Oh, goody. Can't
World
wait.
Cup.
Can't wait.
All right. We're not talking about on the field action though. We're gonna talk about beer.
Well, I have one way to sum this up.
Are you telling me the Broncos moved to Qatar?
I mean, that's essentially what I think of that beer situation. I mean,
that's probably Russell Wilson's opinion on beer. So,
well, no, he's too busy losing games at the end of the fourth quarter, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But the sale of alcohol banned in the World Cup stadiums 2 days before they started, despite previous promise of allowance. There's a lot of issues besides beer in Qatar.
Qatar is, you should know, Qatar is a majority Muslim country, and sale of alcohol is strictly forbidden in a lot of fundamentalist Muslim countries. Qatar, however, did an about face because they apparently made the World Cup committee apparently made a deal with Budweiser, and then 48 hours before it was,
they went back on it.
Yeah,
they went back on it. So,
I mean, wasn't Nick? I think you and I did it on Beyond the Bench, where we talked about how they weren't going to allow like sex or whatever around the stadium, which people were apparently doing. And don't ask me why. That was a news story that had come out.
Well, I mean, they're eliminating, a lot of stuff that in the Western culture we think is fundamental, and to them they just say absolutely not. I mean, did you guys see that tweet of that one individual who I think was a media member who was wearing
Grant Wall,
wearing the gay pride?
Grant Wall, who was a former SI writer, now on his own independently covers soccer. Tried to enter the stadium wearing a t-shirt with a rainbow on it, and he got stopped and basically investigated for like 20 to 25 minutes.
And they made him change his shirt.
Yeah.
Well, and there was also one of the national teams that was wearing rainbow colors on the shirt, and they planned to, and then they scrapped when they saw all the sanctions they could get. Well, no, they had the shirts on, and they made them take them off and change them. I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there in that country.
Because it's part of that culture where that's part of that culture. And guys, let's face it.
I don't know if it's part of their culture. I mean, or part of what. Yeah, go ahead.
But let's face it. Qatar has faced. We have seen a lot of criticism ever since Qatar was announced to be the host of the World Cup for 2022.
Oh, you mean the conditions?
The conditions, the death of the migrant workers, the restrictions, the harsh restrictions that are placed, the conditions against women and against gays,
the dangerous
temperatures, the fact that they had to move the World Cup from the summer
to the winter. Well, their winter. But yes. I mean, 130 degrees. I mean, people were dying building this freaking stadium for crying out loud.
And you know what? Sepp Blatter, who was the president of FIFA at the time when all that corruption was going on, as
Oh, you mean the guy who got 8 years or whatever for corruption scandals?
and the guy who had money thrown at him during one World FIFA meeting, he has admitted it was a mistake to give Qatar the World Cup. He admitted it.
I mean,
Well, with the benefit of hindsight, I'm starting to think that maybe we really should not have chosen Qatar. You fucking think, Sepp?
I mean,
Congratulations, dickweeds!
Sound effect of the episode.
Getting a bunch of Latin American soccer players to chant "Queremos cerveza" during the game is the least problematic thing about these games.
which team was it also that refused to do their national anthem before the game?
The Iranian team.
Okay, yeah, so there's a whole heck of a lot of issues going on.
Hats off to them because that was a really brave.
And by the way,
that takes balls.
that's a threat because to their country that they could do a lot of bad things to those people for not singing their anthem. But this is part of the reason why I don't like the World Cup and part of soccer, because there's a lot of politics involved behind the scenes with FIFA and all the money.
Same as the Olympics.
I think it's worse
It's
than
even more
to be
corrupt.
honest.
I
think
actually
it's
think it's
worse.
worse the Olympics. I think because there's more countries involved, in my opinion, in the soccer.
Yeah.
And these are supposed to be professional players. This is not amateur. The Olympics are amateur sports. This is professional sports.
I do understand though what Nick is saying about the Olympics, and the three of us took a whole master's class on the Olympics and how, what was it, the Chinese gymnasts, the women who were basically lying on their licenses to say they were 16 or 17 when they were actually 13 or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
so like there's Tom's right and Nick's right. There's issues with the Olympics, there's issues with the World Cup, but I think the World Cup issues are worse because there's money behind the scenes that people don't know about. And there was another rumor, and I don't remember which team this was, that supposedly got paid off to win.
Okay, so that was debunked. There were rumors that
It was proven wrong, but it was out there for a period of time.
Yeah, it was Qatar versus Ecuador. It was the kickoff match for the World Cup. Supposedly going into the day, there were rumors that Qatar had basically paid off its opponents to have Qatar basically, reach the World Cup and either go far or win the whole tournament. And then it was Ecuador, we said, right? Ecuador blanked them 2-0.
I mean, talk about a horrible headline to come out before the opening game. Could have taken down the whole World Cup.
This might go down, gentlemen, as one of the worst World Cups in history. We're not even at the final. We're still in group stage.
Well, let me throw another thing out there. Would you say Sepp Blatter is up there, and like, would you consider him a commissioner of a sport, like being up there?
Well, he's not anymore, obviously.
No, I'm saying as a commissioner of the sport, would you say he was worse than all our commissioners here in the U.S.?
Absolutely. That
one I wouldn't dispute.
I was going to say, Nick, remind me of the time Roger Goodell caused the death of so many migrant workers. Remind me of the time Adam Silver caused the death of so many migrant workers. Remind me of the time that Gary Bettman put his players in horrible conditions.
I mean,
God, Nick.
Wow. Oof. But good point. I can't argue it. I mean, soccer has a lot of issues behind the scenes. That's why, one, I won't watch it, and two, I won't get behind it because there's too many politics involved in it.
But you know what you are a fan of, Nick?
Oh, no.
You're a fan of basketball.
No.
You're a fan of
yes.
the New York.
I mean, yes.
You are a fan of the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, yeah, for now.
You're thinking of going up. Hey, you can join us on the misery train. That's the Knicks.
No.
What would you rather? You'd rather jump coast and go to LeBron and the Lake Show?
No. I'm gonna go. I might go take the Bucks.
Would you rather just sit in the corner with a trash basket on your head?
Are you gonna take your talents to South Beach?
No, probably not. Too many hurricanes over there.
Speaking of hurricanes, the hurricane that is Kyrie Irving has returned to the headlines, and he is back. He's back. You never get away. We'll never get away from him. I
mean, I'm sorry. It's so bad that. Yes, Kyrie is the rare occurrence that gets two Curb Your Enthusiasm themes. I don't know.
I guess he did all the things that Josiah told him he needed to do.
Well,
I guess.
Now, I told the guys about someone I was having a debate with, a friend of mine who basically was saying, hey, well, if you have a strong opinion about Kyrie Irving, then you can't have an Amazon Prime account. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Because, okay, to clarify, because Amazon Prime hosts the very movie that Kyrie was promoting that he says he wasn't promoting.
By the way, key words you said there. He was promoting. Amazon didn't ask him to promote it. He promoted it.
But then it's going to raise the question of, why is Amazon allowing this on their platform? And I will give you the reason in one simple sound effect.
Well, duh. But
I mean, how much money could you actually get from posting a 3.5-hour anti-Semitic screed?
But you know what? And just to clear this stupid argument that I had, look at Chappelle, Dave Chappelle. So if you don't like Dave Chappelle, then you can't watch Netflix. Okay? That's the same argument. Oh, I hate Dave Chappelle.
And the problem you're doing with boycott with these companies is that they have so much that...
They don't care.
No. I'm saying number one, they don't care. And number two, they have so much that you enjoy that it's going to make it hard on you.
And by the way, if... say Amazon was only promoting those type of movies, then you might have a point. But that's not the only thing they promote. So are you going to screw yourself for watching Thursday Night Football? Well, I would. I wouldn't watch Thursday Night Football.
but are you going to screw yourself from when you need to order products and Amazon is so convenient?
Exactly, and that's the point here. That's why that argument is stupid. And
because it's a different kind of scumbaggery. Because Jeff Bezos is no angel. God forbid all the Amazon drivers that are forced to pee in bottles can definitely attest to that. But
and I think this is where you guys are both going with it. How many people would have known about this movie if it was not for this Kyrie Irving controversy?
That's my point, and that's what I said to this friend, that it's a bad argument. And on top of it, Kyrie Irving was the one who brought attention to it, not Amazon.
I mean, that line of argument that line of argument really sounds like you're just trying to make it seem like what Kyrie Irving did was not that bad. It's like,
no, he's trying to almost give it a defense, almost.
Yeah, it's almost like you're trying to defend him, and I hope that's not what you did. I hope that's not what you're doing.
I mean, here's the deal. And by the way,
well, all right. I'm gonna bring it up. Although I do think you're talking about trying to defend Kyrie, I think it is kind of shameful on the fellow NBA players who are saying, "Oh, our rights are, our freedom of speech are being restricted." It's like, guys, there's a difference between promoting the right to say, to your freedom of speech and being anti-Semitic. There's a big difference.
Bigotry with more bigotry doesn't solve anything.
What the guys are referring to, by the way, is Jaylen Brown, who is part at the top of the Players Association, basically coming out and defending because he's part of the Players Association. Hey, Jaylen, shut up.
But again, and I think this is where we go when you talk about all these different controversies with Kyrie, thinking years ago with the Astros. There's got to be a point with a Players Association where you can't defend your guys anymore.
I'll give you another one. A-Rod with the MLBPA. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what Jaylen is doing. By the way, Jaylen should do his own house cleaning before going and defending someone else, considering he was with Donda Sports, run by Kanye West, with all the issues he had. So I would do your own housekeeping before you go and defend someone else who has their own issues. See what I did there, Jaylen? It's called making sure you have your facts straight before you make an argument.
And Jaylen, I'm also going to recommend a little poem for you to read. Literature person to athlete. Martin Niemöller, First They Came.
Wow.
I'm sure you guys know what I'm referring to.
I do.
Yeah, yes. I know.
But this whole thing is a joke. He's saying he was protecting his character. I had to do a minute on this when this whole story came out. By the way, serving an 8-game suspension was the amount of games he ended up serving.
My point is there's a difference between your right to say what you want and, I mean, being able to say things, freedom from, restrictions from your government and flat out hate speech.
I mean, I can't believe I had to say this in a minute the other night, but Kyrie Irving basically came out and said, I want to be on a social media platform where I can't be judged and I can say whatever I want. Now, last time I checked.
You can say what you want. It's just, that's not free. That's not First Amendment. The First Amendment is you can say what you want and the government won't throw you in jail. If you say something that people don't agree with and they're calling you an asshole, that's their right.
And by the way, let's see. You don't want to be criticized? Isn't that a bit of a problem when you're a public figure and you're always in the public eye?
I was just going to say, but in social media, you don't want to be judged for things that you could say free. Sorry, but I think that's how social media works.
It's literally a public square where people can shout at you, asshole, if they...
I mean, go ask Donald Trump how he felt when he was getting stuff thrown at him.
Whether it is good or bad, everybody has their opinions on it. But that's essentially how it works. You say something stupid, you play stupid games, and you win
stupid prizes.
That's one of my favorite sayings now, since you've said that a bunch. But I just... protecting his character, my ass. Give me a break. He's not protecting his character. If he was really protecting his character, he wouldn't have said any of this in the first place. He wouldn't have promoted the movie on social media in the first place on his personal accounts. Hey, Kyrie, how many people do you think screenshotted the tweet that you made where you basically promoted that movie?
3 billion.
Yeah. And by the way, you owe an apology to Nick Friedel for the way you treated him in that post-game press conference. Dehumanizing your character. That's going to be the quote of the year from Kyrie Irving. You dehumanize me.
Speaking of character, speaking of stupid, speaking of dehumanizing, and speaking of ass, that leads us to Josh
God.
Primo. So, apparently the person who had the accusation of him exposing himself was a team psychologist who was reportedly settled with Primo and the team.
I mean, that's unbelievable. I was telling the guys the other day when I heard that it was a psychologist of all people. Not that it makes it any different, but I was just a little shell-shocked, to be honest.
Because and I said this to Federa, that he did not see her as a psychologist. All he saw was woman.
No, I'm aware, but I'm just a little shell-shocked considering the type of job that she has.
That he exposed himself in front of a psychologist?
Yes. I was a little shocked. Not saying that it's wrong, right, and different. It's wrong in every way. But now it just makes it look even worse.
I mean, it seems like he was going to do that to any... It seems like, I don't think it would have... I don't think it would have mattered if she was a psychologist or she was just some random passerby he met. He just saw on the street.
By the way, 19-year-old kid, first of all. I mean, if you're doing that at 19, and I'm afraid to see
literally, again, keep your dick in your pants, literally.
No, but I'm saying if you're doing that at 19, I'm afraid to know what happens next.
God, I don't even have to think about that.
I mean, with all the issues, in the NFL side, with all the rape issues that they've had, just think about that. 19 years old, he's already doing that. Congratulations, Adam Silver. You did it again.
I'm sorry, did you say congratulations?
Oh, well, I did, but I wasn't ready for it.
Congratulations, dickweeds.
I think that's the sound effect of the episode.
Hey, Nick, you're getting a bunch of airtime out of this.
Oh, these Faustian bargains I make.
All right. One last thing we're going to go over. Yes, actually one last thing because we have the picks tomorrow. I mean, later today.
Later today, yeah.
We have games starting tomorrow with Thanksgiving. Oh, man. But let's talk about Week 11. Well, gentlemen, we called that this was going to be the trap game for the Giants.
I'm not
Was it a trap
surprised.
game if you're not really that good to be that good to be. Maybe you. I mean, we're again.
Are you
as a
making
Giants fan-
excuses? Wait a minute. Are you making excuses for the Giants losing?
Am I making excuses? No, but let's be honest with ourselves here. This was a team that was that was overachieving relative to where they were in terms
Nick,
of
wait, time out. You're making excuses against a Lions team.
I said correct, but we still lost to the Lions. Now, granted, the Giants are a little banged up. Now, granted, but here's the thing. Now you're going to be playing tough football. Now you're going to be playing 4 your next games are divisional games. And you thought you were down receivers now before. Now you've lost Wan'Dale Robinson for
the year.
So you have no Wan'Dale Robinson. Kadarius Toney got traded away. Sterling Shepard's done for the year. Kenny Galladay is
Nowhere.
no, he's on the field, but let's say he's more of what do you call it? An
cardboard
albatross.
cutout.
I was going to
He's
say
albatross.
an expensive mistake.
Yeah,
And
no,
again,
he's a
Shane didn't make that mistake, so yeah.
Doesn't matter.
You
It's
know
no
what
mistake.
You know what he is? He is. Have you guys ever had one of those electronic football games where
Yes.
they basically just move? Yeah, that's all he is. Actually, you know what? That electronic football player piece could probably catch better than Kenny Galladay.
What was the name of that game way back when? Micro, or whatever that.
Micro football.
Yeah, something like that. He's micro football, or he's a stick figure. One of the two.
I think a stick figure could catch better than Kenny Galladay.
A ghost could catch better than Kenny Galladay.
And Badera's looking like he's waiting to jump in and say something. He doesn't want to say it.
Say it.
They better go get Odell Beckham Jr. because if you think they
Nick.
didn't have, if you think they didn't have receivers before,
Nick.
oh my God, buckle up.
It's not going to happen.
It's not that I think it will. Or
I'm
won't
sorry.
happen.
Is someone upset because their quarterback can't hit water if he fell out?
What
of
does this have to? Wait a minute. Time out. What is this? We're not even up to that yet. First of all, what does this have to do with quarterbacks? We're talking about wide receivers.
My quarterback can actually hit people. He just needs people to throw to.
Did I even? Okay, I'm not making that argument. I've already said that Zach Wilson is the worst quarterback in the NFL.
But Nick Morgan said, I will give Nick Federa this devil advocacy. If not Odell, who? Who are you going to get at the?
First of all, I wasn't saying not to get him. I wasn't saying not to get him. They're not going to get him. There are way better teams than the Giants that Odell can contribute to.
And I understand, and I do agree. However, if you're the Giants, maybe you need to throw a little extra because at this point, if you think you're going to get the playoff run that you think you can, or at least reach the playoffs, you may not have a choice because you don't have.
And the players believe they're capable of.
Well, the players believe, and also going back to what I was saying. Okay, if you think, okay, we kind of overachieved. This is where we wanted to be. We've reached our goal. You know what the problem with that is? Number one, that's not Mara's expectations. And number two, you kind of already, what did I say at the start of the season? If they got to this level, they've already played themselves out. They're not going to get the quarterback or anybody that they could target. They're not going to get a top player in this draft.
I'm going to tell you right now, Nick. Odell, first of all, is not a number one wide receiver anymore. So anyone who thinks he's a number one wide receiver is in delusional hell. And two, he's not going to drag that team to a Super Bowl victory. So tell me what that accomplishes.
But Nick Morganson, would you? Now I kind of would you? Do you think Darius Slayton is a wide receiver one though?
No, I never said that. My point is that Odell is not a number one. First of all, and Nick, this is going to drive Nick crazy. But when Odell was with the Giants, I don't think he was a number one.
Because you rain on people's parades.
No, this is not me joking. This is not me joking. This is me being serious. Odell did not play like a number one because he couldn't get himself open.
Nick, when at the start of his campaign when Victor Cruz was around, yeah.
But I'm saying is didn't
very quickly in that rookie season he did transform into a wide receiver one. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they didn't really throw him the ball. There were a bunch of times they missed him big time.
Meanwhile,
which is actually, but that's a different kind of debate. That's more of a debate about if the Giants kept Eli Manning around for too long.
That's a good point. I'll give you that.
That's a whole different can of worms.
But Nick, answer my question. Does bringing Odell make them go on a big playoff run?
honestly, in my heart of hearts, no. And I think if you injected Joe Shane right now with Truth Serum, he would tell you the same. But to be honest with you, you're playing with house money from here to the end of the season.
But that's the thing, Nick. But Morganson. But right now you're a 7-3 team. If you don't do anything and you lose these next 4 games and you fall all the way down to 7-7, lose to the Vikings, even lose that last game against the Eagles, and you finish like 8-9 or 9-8, that's going to be. I know you talk about before about raising expectations for what this Giants team, but still, that's going to come off as a massive disappointment.
Well, what was the expectation? Is that I think it was over/under 6 wins for the Giants.
The expectation was that they were going to win 5 games.
Correct, 5 or 6 games. But you don't think the New York media is going to harp all over this as being or not even the New York media, the NFL media as a major collapse?
First of all, the New York media is going to be tougher on the Jets than the Giants. I can tell you that right off the bat because they've been dealing with shit for the past 5, 6, 7 years and not competing. At least the Giants have been competitive over that stretch.
You know what? Since you're angling up to do that, let's switch teams.
All right,
okay.
Let's switch teams. The Jets, probably one of the most embarrassing losses. You had your Matt Dodge moment. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, when you're 3-3, by the way, who expected a 3-3 game going into the fourth quarter?
No, yeah, exactly, because the Jets defense played their balls off.
Well, and I'm still going to say this. The Jets have a Super Bowl caliber defense.
And I actually agree with you, Morganson. I actually do.
But Zach Wilson is affecting this team.
I know Videra might argue against that, but I actually am going to start siding with Morganson. I do think they have a problem at quarterback. Well,
he can't throw the football.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I'm not going to. Yeah,
I think right now actually I'm going to put it like what I overheard one of my work colleagues put it this way. This was going to be kind of like with the Giants, where this was going to be a year of development. But the Jets have now reached a point where they're just 1 game under the Giants, 6-4, very tight race in the AFC East. The Jets are now forced into a question of, can we continue development?
First of all, I think the big mistake was when he was injured. They didn't have a great backup option.
Well, right now you can't solve that. Right now, all you have to work with is Mike White and Joe Flacco.
And that's the problem. So Zach Wilson feels too comfortable in his situation. So even if he gets crapped on, and by the way, in a second, we'll get to that dumb statement he made on the podium after the game. Like, this guy can't play. He can't play. He can't throw the football. And also, I blame the Jets partially too, because they won't take the training wheels off. They won't let him throw the football. They were 3rd and 17 on their 10, basically backed all the way up. And they ran the football on 3 and 17. Okay? You're telling me you're not going to attempt to throw a football on 3 and 17?
I think it was worse when he went to the podium. And he was asked, did you feel like you let the defense down?
Yeah, well, when he said no and no, every defensive player in that locker room almost got up and kicked his ass.
Yeah, thanks to the reports from Rich Samiti and all the other Jets insiders saying that. We always talk about a coach losing the locker room. I think this is the first time in a while I've heard that a quarterback has lost the locker room.
I mean, Robert Saleh has said some dumb things this year, but I can't blame him for this one. I mean, the whole comment about we're going to hold the receipts when we win games. All right.
But something's got to give, you know? I mean, at a certain point, you got to put up or shut up.
Well, and this is all on Zach Wilson. He can't produce any offense. He's turned into Eli in the pocket. And I'm talking about the bad Eli, where he doesn't move his feet.
Nick, I I think he's worse than Eli. I'll be
No.
honest.
I'm not comparing him to Eli. I'm
not saying in terms of star caliber. I'm talking about when you're talking about the struggles. I think he's actually worse than Eli's struggles.
Well, I'm talking about the decline Eli, where he wouldn't move his feet.
I know. I think putting him on that same level, I think that's a maximum. I'm saying I think he might be worse than declining Eli.
And by the way, Sauce Gardner, who stupidly liked a tweet about the decline of Zach Wilson or whatever it was. I mean, you gotta be careful on social media.
You're right. You are right, but it doesn't help Wilson's case. But it doesn't help Wilson's case when you have the reporters also saying, "Yeah, well, you know what? That's symbolic of a bigger thing that is going on in the locker room. That the defense really does feel pissed off, and other players really do feel pissed."
See, the weird part is for a 6-4 team that's still technically considered in the divisional playoff race, the locker room is a shit show, like in the worst way. And I don't know why they didn't put Joe Flacco in at all. I would have put Joe Flacco in, or even Mike White. Zach Wilson, how many yards he had? He was like 9 for 22 with 77 yards.
Yeah, one of the worst QB ratings I've seen. But well, Nick, you may get your wish this week. If let's talk about Salah's comments that he is not committing to Zach Wilson at the QB position.
Well, I don't know how to respond, but first I'm going to respond with this.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God! Stop you fucking lying!
I don't believe him for a second. You believe him?
I mean, at a certain, you can't look at the results and argue in Zach Wilson's favor.
Wait a minute, Nick. This is the same coach who came out a couple weeks ago and said, barring injury, Zach Wilson is going to be the starting quarterback for the rest of the season.
I'm going to go with the no but yes response, because I think this Bears game is going to be the test. If you lose to a weak Bears team, and you still have the opportunity to catch a wild card spot or the Bills and Dolphins, then at that point, if you lose to the Bears, I'll play. It's a loser leaves, to use a wrestling term, a loser leaves town game. Zach Wilson is playing for his job this week.
I'm going to tell you right now that I'm teasing away to our picks later on tonight, but I think this is a trap game for the Jets.
But let me going off of what you're saying, going off my expectation, if the Jets lose this game to the Bears, does Zach Wilson lose his starting job?
Absolutely loses his job. Are you kidding me? You can't lose to the Bears.
I'm going to second that. I think this is a trap game, and if we're both going that same kind of direction, Zach Wilson loses his job after this week.
I mean, and of course they're going to say.
But now, Nick, let me throw one more question at you. If Zach Wilson is out, but like I said, trade deadline's over. No big quarterback free agents out there. You're stuck with Mike White or Joe Flacco. Who do you trust to try and lead you to a playoff spot?
Probably Joe Flacco.
I hate saying it, but he has the playoff experience.
That's the only thing I'm basing it off of. Mike White is what, a third stringer at best, in my opinion, even though he's
as great as he's played last season.
That's all luck, partially, in my opinion. Like, it was just the right place, right time type situation. But Zach Wilson, first of all, has to stop being a dick on the post-game podium. I mean, what are you accomplishing? Fine with me. I don't care. If you mean
other than getting a locker room to hate you.
I mean, what do you think was going to happen when you said you didn't think you let the defense down? What do you think was going to happen? And apparently he tried to walk it back after, too.
Well, he learned the hard way that you don't do that with New York media.
I mean, I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm going to break this one out for Zach Wilson.
RELAX.
I mean, he's turning into Aaron Rodgers.
I think he's got ways to go before.
No. Not play. I'm talking about ego.
Still has ways to go, I think.
No, but Zach Wilson thinks he can get away with ego without even having any performance on the field. You know what that's a recipe for?
Disaster.
Yeah, massive disaster. And I wouldn't be surprised now if the Jets finish under 500 this year.
That would be a really bad collapse.
I mean, I didn't look at the rest of the Jets schedule. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't know. All right, let's quickly go through the rest of the games.
Yeah, quickly going through the rest of the games out of our New York teams. Titans beating the Packers, speaking of our ELAX. So
Woo!
Packers season of misery just continues.
The Packers are done.
Aaron, what are your thoughts?
RELAX.
No, Aaron. No, Aaron. SCREWED.
I thought you were going to say SUCK.
Well,
Suck.
I like screwed better.
Eagles having to come back against Jeff Saturday and the Colts. So much for Jeff Saturday's perfect record.
By the way, do you have the records since we have a little bit of time since we're not doing the rapid rundown?
I'd like to get the show under let's see. I'd like to get the show done with the 90-minute mark, so
We'll see if that happens. But unbelievable. The Eagles almost lost this game.
They still won the game, so a win is a win. So I can't really fault them for that. But I mean, I don't know if. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, in terms of records, by the way, let's see. I'm
afraid.
Let's see.
There was like no covers this week, all.
It was all. There was no like evens. It was maybe one like split game. It was like basically all or nothing. You had a green or a red. There's no in the middle orange.
By the way, first time in 11 weeks, no one had a lock. Correct.
Yeah. Let's see. I had 8 of the 14 games right. Federa had 5 of them, and Morgeson, you had 8 as well.
Yeah, all right. It wasn't as bad as I thought.
So
Okay.
the two of you were more right than I was.
Yeah, sorry, Nick.
But it was a bad week. It was a bad week for covers, though. It was a bad week.
Right to be wrong. So there you go.
Cover, yeah, I'd say, but that, like I said, it was like all or nothing. Either they covered or it was upset city. There was no in between where they won but didn't. Actually, no. I think the Chiefs did. Yeah, the Chiefs were the only exception where they won but didn't cover.
God. I mean, so what were the other games? We had the Rams and the Saints.
Which was
Yeah.
Ravens only won 13-3 against the Panthers. I thought they'd do better.
What was the spread in that game? It was 12.5?
13.
Oops.
Oh, no, 12. No. You might have been right. It might be 12.5.
Doesn't matter. They still didn't cover.
Yeah, 12. No, it's just 12.
They still didn't cover.
By a couple. Let's see. What other game do I have to go through here? Oh, yeah, I have to do this. They lose in the fourth quarter. They blow a lead to the Raiders.
Congratulations.
I'm sorry. You might not have heard me. They blew a fourth quarter lead.
No. That was deserved.
Congratulations, dickweeds.
To the Raiders.
How the fuck does that happen?
Yeah, that can't happen. That's bad.
Think, guys, this is a team. I know. We made fun the other night when we were doing our live stream talking about how, if they scored 18 points, every week they would be a 9-1 team. How, that's like a Booger McFarland kind of comment. But here's the thing. It just baffles me. Russell Wilson, Melvin Gordon. Well, used to be Melvin Gordon at the running back helm, and now it's not anymore. It's going to be Latavius Murray. It should be Javonte Williams, but he's hurt. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Greg Dulcich, who was working his way up as a decent.
Well, Jeudy was hurt. No,
right? Yeah, he got hurt. No, my point is all of this talent on the offense, and you can't even muster 18 points a week.
Well, you're talking about that stupid statistic that Nick Wright tweeted out?
Yeah.
Where if they scored 18 points or more, they'd be 8-1 or 9-1. Yeah, if I didn't eat as much junk food. Wait a minute.
Teams win when they score more points than the opposition. Thank you for that.
If I didn't eat all this junk food, I wouldn't be over 200 pounds.
And if I had wheels, I would be a wagon.
This would be a fun, just see how many of those we could come up with. If Aaron Boone didn't play a pickup basketball game, A-Rod wouldn't be in the Yankee fans' lives.
If Gavrilo Princip did not shoot Franz Ferdinand, there'd be no World War One.
Jesus.
Or World War II.
Or any war.
This team. And we still have a few more weeks of Broncos country Let's Ride to go through.
Go ask Russell Wilson how those clothing and Subway deals are working out for him.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Cowboys spanking the Vikings. Bengals beating the Steelers. How did Bengals-Steelers turn into a shootout? 37-30.
What was the spread on that game?
The defense is just having an off night.
It was only 4.5, so the Bengals covered.
67 total points? Holy crap.
Yeah. Chiefs-Chargers, which actually ended up being the game of the week, I think. That one actually lived up to expectations.
Yeah,
Good decision to do the flex.
It's a good point.
And Monday Night Football, well, if you tuned in the other night, you kind of know our thoughts. Which it started by halftime, it was a game. By the but as the second half went on, well,
yeah. Yep.
Mierda.
what's the Spanish word for mercy?
I don't know.
I'll look. That's how we'll end the show. Me looking at the Spanish word for mercy.
Or you could just do the No Mercy song or whatever that was. Who did that song?
Misericordia. Misericordia.
Can't make this one up, everybody.
Oh, God.
All right. Join us later today with Johnny Montalbano and Hank Dichter with Game On for our Week 12 picks. That will be tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's our final video before Thanksgiving gets here. So
triple header.
Yeah, Thanksgiving triple header. You got Bills Lions tomorrow. Tomorrow at the 12 o'clock time slot. You got Giants Cowboys in the 4:30 p.m. Eastern slot, and then to top it all off, Patriots and the Vikings in the night slot.
Not really great games, to be honest with you.
I think they're better than last year's games.
Yeah.
I just want to see Nick yell at the screen during the Giants Cowboys game.
Hopefully, I'll be too busy eating to do that. So, I'll have something to occupy me.
I just want to
tryptophan.
Yeah. If I was actually talking with Zan from my co-host on MMA Outsiders, and I said this, if somehow we can get Bills, Giants, and Vikings to win all tomorrow, I think that will account for a successful Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it will. It really will.
The problem is you're asking for nice things, and nice things don't always happen.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Make sure you follow the network, Empty the Bench Network on social media at ETB Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you find us on our YouTube channel and subscribe. It's not the big red button anymore. I think it's like a silver or a big black button now. But go subscribe, youtube.com/ETB
Remember the
Network.
days it was a big gold button on the side?
Yes. That's true. But make sure you go
Good time.
subscribe. Smash that like button. By the way, remember we were having that conversation about smashing the like button?
See, we're with the kids these days.
Well, or you could be like, wait a minute. Or you could be like Nick and call things bangers.
Stop it, gentlemen. You're acting very sus.
I think I just aged 25 years.
Now
God.
you know how I feel on a daily basis, boys.
Oh, God.
I'll just end it on one notion.
All right, I'm going to go be limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing. You all have a happy Thanksgiving out there. For Nick Federa, Nick Morganson, I'm Tom Vanna. We'll see you next week. Take
Good
care,
night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Have a happy Thanksgiving.